Three alien boys carried bags for a rich human. The next day, their mother was shocked. When the morning sun of Centauri Prime cast purple shadows across the busy marketplace where Kira and her three sons worked every day selling handmade crafts and offering small services to anyone who would pay. And the boys had learned from a very young age that survival meant working hard and never complaining about their circumstances. Kira was a widow from the Valrine species with blue skin and silver eyes, and she had raised her three sons alone after her husband died in a mining accident 5 years ago. And the boys were named Zach, who was 12 years old and strong for his age. And then there was Ren, who was 10 and very clever with numbers. And the youngest was Leo, who was only 8, but had the kindest heart anyone could imagine. The family lived in a small dwelling on the edge of the city where rent was cheap, but the neighborhood was safe enough, and every morning Kira would wake her sons before dawn, and they would prepare their small cart of handmade jewelry and carved stones to sell at the market. And most days they barely made enough credits to buy food and pay rent. But they had each other, and that was what mattered. Most on this particular morning, the marketplace was more crowded than usual, because a human trading ship had landed at the spaceport, and humans were rare visitors to Centauri Prime, because the planet was far from the major trade routes, and considered a backwater world by most galactic standards, but when humans did visit, they usually had plenty of credits to spend. The boys noticed her immediately because she was impossible to miss, and her name was Lauren Mitchell, and she was a human woman in her early 30s with long brown hair and green eyes, and she wore expensive clothes that sparkled with embedded tech threads, and she carried herself with the confidence of someone who had never known poverty or hardship. Lauren was followed by 2 service droids carrying even more shopping bags, and she looked slightly annoyed as she checked her datapad and spoke into her communication device about meeting her ship at the spaceport in 2 hours, and the boys watched her with wide eyes, because they had never seen anyone so wealthy up close. Zach whispered to his brothers that they should offer to help carry her bags, because humans were known to tip generously, and Ren quickly calculated that even a small tip could buy them food for 3 days, and Leo just wanted to help, because the woman looked tired despite her fancy appearance. The 3 boys approached Lauren carefully, and Zach spoke first in his best standard galactic language, asking if the lady needed help carrying her purchases to her ship, and Lauren looked down at the 3 alien children with their worn clothes and hopeful faces, and she almost said no, because she had droids for that, but something in their earnest expressions made her pause. She asked how much they wanted for the service, and Zach named a price so low that Lauren actually laughed and said that was ridiculous, and she would pay them triple that amount if they could get her bags to the spaceport without damaging anything, and the boys agreed immediately with huge smiles on their blue faces. Lauren dismissed her droids and watched as the 3 brothers carefully divided the shopping bags among themselves, and Zach took the heaviest ones, while Leo insisted on carrying a delicate box that contained some kind of crystal sculpture, and Ren balanced 3 bags with the precision of someone used to making every movement count. As they walked through the marketplace toward the spaceport, Lauren found herself asking the boys questions about their lives, and Zach explained that their father had died and their mother worked very hard to take care of them, and Ren added that they all helped with the family business, and Leo simply said that his mother was the best person in the whole galaxy. Something in Lauren's chest tightened as she listened to these children speak about their mother with such pure love and devotion, and she thought about her own life of luxury, traveling from planet to planet, buying expensive things and never really connecting with anyone, and she had money and success, but these poor children had something she had lost long ago. When they reached the spaceport, Lauren paid the boys exactly what she had promised, and the amount made their eyes go wide with disbelief. And Zach stammered his thanks while Ren quickly calculated how many months of rent this would cover, and Leo just gave Lauren the biggest smile she had ever seen. But Lauren was not done, and she asked the boys about their mother and where she worked, and the boys explained about the market stall and their handmade goods, and Lauren made a decision that would change everything, and she told the boys to take her to meet their mother right away. Kira was arranging her display of carved stones when she saw her 3 sons running toward her, followed by a human woman in expensive clothes, and her heart jumped with worry, because she could not imagine why a wealthy human would be with her children, and she feared they had done something wrong. The boys were talking over each other, trying to explain, and finally Zach showed his mother the credits they had earned, and Kira's silver eyes went wide because it was more money than she usually made in 3 months. And she looked at Lauren. With confusion and gratitude, Lauren introduced herself and explained that she was a wealthy merchant who traveled the galaxy buying and selling rare goods, and she had been impressed by the boys' work ethic and kindness, and she wanted to do something for the family. And Kira listened with growing amazement. Lauren said she wanted to buy everything Kira had in her stall and pay far above the asking price, and she also wanted to establish a regular trade agreement where Kira would create handmade goods specifically for Lauren's high-end clients across the galaxy, and the payment would be enough to change their lives completely. Kira could barely speak, and tears filled her silver eyes as she tried to understand why this stranger was offering such generosity. And Lauren smiled and said that her own mother had raised her alone after her father left, and she had forgotten what it meant to have that kind of love, and seeing Kira's sons had reminded her. But there was more, and Lauren explained that she owned a small apartment building in the better part of the city, and one unit had just become available, and she wanted Kira and her sons to live there rent-free for the first year, while they got their business established, and after that, the rent would be minimal and manageable with their new income. The boys started crying and hugging their mother, and Kira held them close, while looking at Lauren with an expression of pure disbelief and gratitude. And Lauren felt something warm spreading through her chest, and she realized this was the first time in years she had done something that actually mattered. Over the next few weeks, Lauren helped Kira set up a proper workshop with good tools and materials, and she introduced Kira to contacts across the galaxy who were interested in authentic handmade Valrine crafts. And the orders started coming in immediately because Kira's work was genuinely beautiful and unique. The boys started attending a better school in their new neighborhood, and Zach discovered he loved engineering while Ren excelled at mathematics and business, and Leo made friends with everyone he met because of his kind nature and infectious smile. Lauren visited Centauri Prime more often than she needed, too, for business, and she would have dinner with Kira and the boys and listen to their stories and share her own, and slowly she became part of their family in a way that surprised her because she had always been independent. And alone one evening, Kira asked Lauren why she had really done all this, and Lauren was quiet for a long moment before answering, and she finally said that she had been lonely for so long and she had built walls around her heart with money and success, and seeing those 3 boys willing to work so hard for their mother had broken something open inside her. Kira reached across the table and took Lauren's hand and said that Lauren had given them a new life, but they had given her something too, and they had given her a family and a home and a place where she was loved, not for her money but for who she was. Lauren realized that this alien woman with blue skin and silver eyes understood her better than anyone ever had, and she thought about how she had almost said no when 3 poor alien boys had offered to carry her bags, and how that one decision to say yes had changed everything. The boys grew up with opportunities their mother had never dreamed possible, and Zach became an engineer who designed ships, while Ren started his own trading company, and Leo became a teacher who worked with orphaned children across the galaxy. And they never forgot the day their mother sent them to work, and they met a lonely human woman who became their family years later. When Lauren was much older, she would sit with Kira on the balcony of the home they eventually bought together and watch the purple sunset of Centauri Prime, and they would talk about how strange life was and how the smallest acts of kindness could change everything. Kira's handmade goods became famous across multiple star systems, and wealthy collectors paid enormous amounts for original pieces, and the family business that started with a simple cart in a marketplace became a galactic enterprise. But Kira never forgot where she came from. The 3 boys who had carried bags for a rich human woman became successful men who carried their mother's lessons about kindness and hard work everywhere they went, and whenever anyone asked them about their success, they would tell the story of the day they met Lauren Mitchell. And Lauren, who had been so lonely despite all her wealth, found something more valuable than any amount of credit